Timo Meier has quickly become one of the best play drivers and producers in the entire league. And to me is one of, if not the best player available at the 2023 NHL Trade Deadline. Also, Timo Meier is in the prime of his career at 26 years old, has 28 goals in 49 games for the Sharks this year, and ranks 7th among all NHL players in hits with 106 so far this season. He's going to get a massive haul. But what could a Timo Meier trade look like, and which teams will be in on Timo Meier at this year's NHL Trade Deadline? Watch till the end for all 5 mock trades, and hit that subscribe button to the Sportsnet YouTube channel for the best sports coverage around. But now that we've established just how good Timo Meier is, now let's get into the 5 Timo Meier trades that can actually happen. But now let's get started today with the first Timo Meier mock trade, and this is a team that I don't see many people talking about, but I would definitely expect to see in the Timo Meier race, and that is the Minnesota Wild, a team that I think will be going for it at this year's deadline and going for it this year in the NHL playoffs. And to me, there's a lot of potential about what a mock trade for Minnesota would potentially look like, but to the Minnesota Wild, I have Timo Meier, no salary retained since the Wild do have quite a bit of deadline cap space. But to the San Jose Sharks, I think they'll get Dorian Greenway, Daniil Yurov, Adam Beckman, a 2023 first, and a 2023 second rounder. Now, to me, this ticks a lot of the boxes for the Sharks, and some people might think it's an overpay, but especially for the Wild, there is a chance still they do re-sign him long-term, and again, they do have those RFA rights, so even if they don't want to re-sign him long-term, they could just trade his RFA rights to somebody else and have maybe a little bit back for him. But to me, for the Sharks, they're, especially with Mike Greer and under his helm, they like to bring in physicality, but they like to have a diversity of talent, and to me, Greenway would definitely bring that, and the Wild, of course, with Greenway signed long-term, could definitely use that long-term cap space. And if they aren't going to sign Meier, then that definitely saves a lot of cap for them. They got Daniil Yurov, who the Wild selected with their second pick in the first round last year in 2022, who's been playing in Russia this year. And I think for the Sharks, they're not one of those teams that's really scared of bringing in Russian prospects. Adam Beckman, who's been progressing pretty well in the AHL as a 21-year-old and was amazing in the WHL too, and a first rounder and second round pick. Now, there is a chance that the Wild maybe go after more or give up more quality. Maybe they give up a player like Marco Rossi, but I think they're going to want to have more quantity, and I think the Sharks would be okay with that in all honesty. Now going on to my second mock trade, this is a really fascinating one, but it all depends on how this team does in the next month, if there's still going to be buyers come trade deadline time. And to me, the next team we're going to talk about here is the Buffalo Sabres, who have already been heavily linked towards Timo Meier and heavily linked towards a trade. Now, the Sabres right now are in the playoff race, but this is also a situation, one of the situations on this list where I think the Sabres would absolutely be re-signing Timo Meier long-term. No way that this would be a rental. Now, in this mock trade, I don't just have Timo Meier. I also have a different player. To the Buffalo Sabres, Timo Meier will be going there to Buffalo, and as well as defenseman Matt Benning, who's underratedly done a really solid job defensively in San Jose and has put up really efficient numbers there, which I think could benefit the Sabres quite a bit on that right side. As for what the Sharks will receive in return, I think they'll get top center prospect Yuri Kulich, as well as Victor Nuchev, who they got in the third round, or who they drafted in the third round in last year's draft. Defenseman Henry Jokiharju, as well as a Philadelphia's 2023 second rounder and Buffalo's 2023 fourth rounder. Now, to me, the big centerpiece in this deal is obviously Yuri Kulich, who had a great World Juniors, but has had a great season overall in AHL in Rochester, and I think is a absolute grade A prospect right now and has that reputation as well. I think the Sharks would absolutely love to have his bang and crash smart style, as well as Victor Nuchev as a scorer, and Henry Jokiharju could still become something, even if he hasn't really blossomed in Buffalo, but he's playing on that right side of defense, and I think you could put Benning maybe right on that spot, maybe bring up Ilya Bushkin if you want to, maybe have Benning on the third pair. You'd have a lot of versatility still, and I think his defensive game would really fit Buffalo, as well as having Timo Meier on that left side. I think he'd be absolutely electric there. They already have one of the best forward groups, but adding Timo Meier would make it actually cracked. Now let's keep going with the Eastern Conference teams here, and for my third Timo Meier mock trade, I'm gonna go to a New York team here, and it's not the New York Rangers, because honestly, I'm just assuming at this point they make the mistake and trade for Patrick Kane, but to me, I think it'll be the New York Islanders who end up going for Timo Meier. And we've seen, especially in the past couple of years, how with Lou Lamoriello, he's not afraid to make trade deadline moves. We saw the Jean-Gabriel Pageau trade in 2020, as well as the Zajac and Palmieri trade at the 2021 deadline. Now, when we look towards what the Islanders could potentially give up, to me, this trade could have a lot of different dimensions, and I think this is an opportunity for Lou Lamoriello as well as the Islanders to shed some salary here, and I think that's what they will do. As for the trade itself, to the New York Islanders is Timo Meier, no salary retained. As for the Sharks, they will receive top prospect William Dufour, Oliver Wahlstrom, Josh Bailey, Calle Odilis, a 2023 first rounder, and a 2023 second rounder. Now, especially in today's economy in the NHL, getting rid of salary is extremely difficult to do. And with Bailey and his multi-year deal at $5 million, to me, if I'm the Islanders, that's one contract I am prioritizing getting off the books. Now, they might have to give up a lot more to do that, but that also goes into the price. You give up DeVore, you give up Wahlstrom, you give up two quality top young prospects in the forward side, you give up Calle Odilis, a first rounder and a second rounder, but also I could see Lamoriello trying to go for this year and trying to make it a kind of make or break year for them. And I think Timo Meier would be an excellent addition and would give them that goal scoring pop that they desperately need. To me, Meier is the perfect player for the Islanders. And even though it's a heavy price tag, I think getting rid of Josh Bailey and his multi-year deal definitely adds to that. It would be a lot less if he wasn't there. But I think for the Islanders, getting rid of his contract is a must. But now let's move on to the fourth Timo Meier mock trade, and let's stick with the Metro Division. Next up, I'm going to go to the New Jersey Devils. I think the longest running team here rumored in the Timo Meier sweepstakes, but to me, it just makes a lot of sense for the Devils to go after him. Now, when it comes to the actual trade itself, I see the Devils getting after Timo Meier, 50% retained, as well as getting a 2023 fifth round pick from the San Jose Sharks. In exchange, though, the Sharks will be getting Alexander Holtz, Igor Sranagovic, Kevin Ball, and a 2023 first-round pick. Now, I could see the Sharks being really high on Holtz as well as Kevin Ball, bringing that size on the defensive side of things, as well as a 2023 first-rounder, and Sranagovic is a pretty under-the-radar guy that could easily fit into their middle six immediately, which I think for the Sharks, they might want to get a pretty big impact player already, which you can see in the Oliver Wahlstrom, Josh Bailey part with the Islanders, as well as the Jokiharju one with the Sabres, as well as the Greenway one with the Wild. I think they'd want to have at least one roster player there, and Sranagovic is probably the best one out of all these guys, and to me, I think would immediately fit on that roster. And Alexander Holtz is a guy that's knocking on the door. He hasn't quite gotten that opportunity yet in the NHL level, but to me, I still think could be a great top six sniper power play player. And I think for the Sharks, especially considering how many playmakers they got in the system, Holtz would be a pretty great fit long term. And even though this might seem less than some other offers, to me, I think the Sharks would really value Holtz and Ball, as well as the Devils. I don't think those are two guys they want to get rid of easily, but I could see the Sharks really targeting. Now for the last Timo Meier mock trade, and this one to me is really fascinating, especially considering the situation the Toronto Maple Leafs are in. But for my last mock trade, it involves the Toronto Maple Leafs, and considering some of the interest we've already seen with the Leafs and Meier, to me, I think it could be a really interesting fit. And as long as the defense and Samsonov is able to hold their consistency, to me, the biggest issue with this Leafs team and the thing they need to address the most is that top end scoring. And to me, especially on that middle six, I think Timo Meier would be an absolutely excellent addition. And especially come playoff time, I think would be excellent too. In his last playoffs, he got 15 points in 20 games, and his last one before that got 5 points in 10 games, and that was all the way back in 2018. And just imagine Timo Meier, John Tavares, and William Nylander. That's all I'm going to say. Now, as for what we can actually see with the mock trade, it would involve a lot of cap shenanigans, but to me, I think it would definitely be a necessary evil. As for the actual trade itself, for the Leafs, they will acquire Timo Meier, 50% retained, as well as Nick Bonino, 25% retained, going back to the Sharks, and to me, it will be the centerpiece of this deal, and maybe for the Sharks, the asset that they would want the most in a Timo Meier deal, and that is Matthew Knies. And I know a lot of people might not want to get rid of Knies, but at the same time, especially if the Leafs are going to keep Meier long term, I think Knies would be the centerpiece of the deal. As for the other players, I got Alex Kerfoot going the other way for the cap reasons and a 2023 first round pick. Now, for the Leafs, they don't just get Timo Meier, they also get Nick Bonino, who I think could slot in pretty well as a fourth line center guy and bring a ton of experience, of course, being a part of those Pittsburgh teams before and those cup winning teams. I think he would be amazing on a playoff roster and would be perfect on the fourth line role there, especially in Toronto. And of course, even though you're getting rid of Alex Kerfoot, to me, I think it is a necessary evil as well, especially if they're able to keep Meier long term, which is the big thing. I don't think for the Leafs they'll want to get rid of Knies for a rental, but to me, especially considering he is an RFA, I think the Leafs would have a pretty good chance of being able to re-sign him long term, which I think is why they'd be willing to give up Knies and give up a first round pick. And no matter what the Leafs current management thinks, this is really a make or break year for them. If they can't get past the first round, then that is just another failure on top of all the failures in the past. And to me, we would see a cleaning of the house if it were to happen again. But a Timo Meier addition would give them such a better chance against a team like Boston or a team like Tampa Bay. And to me, that's all that matters here. Timo Meier would be amazing, and I think would fit the Leafs pretty perfectly. Those are my 5 Timo Meier mock trades. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys agree and disagree with. What do you guys think on the Timo Meier front? Are these overpayments? Are these underpayments? Which of these mock trades do you think is the most realistic? And where do you guys see Timo Meier ending up after the NHL trade deadline this year? Let us know all your thoughts down below. Of course, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Share the video with all the hockey fans and all the Leafs, Wild, Devils, Islanders, and Buffalo Sabres fans out there, as well as Sharks fans out there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one, and goodbye.